Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it's time for your Impact Wrestling post show. It's another week up and down. There's so much going on in wrestling. My good Lord. You know, Cresta, when we started doing these shows, not that we don't still look forward to Impact Wrestling every Thursday, but we weren't getting the types of shows on Mondays and Fridays that we're kind of starting to see emerge from this new Triple H led WWE. First of all, because I have to ask a question, how are you?
I'm okay. My internet is stable. Last week was shrinking the table, but this week I am splendiferous. How are you? How's everything?
Everything's good. Everything's great. I have the house to myself for the night.
Hey.
I will be meeting up with my family at an undisclosed location later on tomorrow.
Golden Corral.
I usually say not just I forget what I say. I usually say an undisclosed location or the bunker, whatever it is, the offsite location. That's later. So tonight I have the space to myself to clean and to do as we will, and that's just how it is. But we invite y'all to go ahead and leave a thumbs up here at youtube.com/Fightful. We invite y'all to go ahead and donate a super chat. It's that little $ on the bottom of the screen where you can donate any amount and get your question or statement read on the air. Because if there's one thing that we know is that you support us through that, we'll always pop up those questions and answer them as we will. And then Cresta, tell them about the Humper Chats. It's another option for them.
Humper Chats is just like Super Chats, but humpier. You go to humperchats.com and you donate any amount. We'll read them live on air for your questions related to Impact Wrestling. We get to keep just a little bit more, but it's the same good donation feel that supports your favorite team, Starr on Fightful.
The best team. I'm going to do something that I didn't expect to have to do. Cresta, I'm going to pop off of the stream for literally 1 second because I can't see the chat. like on StreamYard here, it's all I have. All I have is our pal Ricardo and this message, and
that's
nothing
all
else.
I have. That's all I have too.
There have been people chatting on YouTube, and I can't see. So we'll do this one by one. I'm going to start. I'm gonna refresh. Give me 1 sec.
The world is mine. Now you get to talk about wrestling. I hope you. Oh, he's back.
Now I see it.
All right. So let me refresh the channel page.
Go ahead. Do
1 second.
Friends, this is just the best type of content we can think of. We're here. I can see all of your comments now. That's why I was so thrown off, by the way. That's why I was so thrown off for the opening, because I was like, there are people here, but there's nobody here.
Okay, there it is. I'm like, because all I saw was one person, like, maybe it was just quiet tonight.
I did not understand what was going on. It's very strange. So there you go. You can donate your super chats, donate your Humper Chats over here at youtube.com/Fightful. If you're watching us on Twitch, over at Twitch TV/Fightful Gaming, your bits will also be accepted, and anything else that you give us, we appreciate it. It keeps Cresta employed, and it keeps Sean Ross Sapp out of my ears. So that's probably the best way to go. Cresta, like I was saying, we've been pretty lucky this week with some really, really solid wrestling. How are you feeling about Impact tonight? If you had to give it your scale of 1 through 5.
This was a solid 3. I'd even say a 2.9. It was very middle of the road. It wasn't anything spectacular, but also I will say, like you said, to your point, wrestling this week, all the stars have aligned. We're getting good show after good show, and Impact is typically a good show, but compared to everything else I've seen this week, I'm expected to be blown away. So, like, it was a good show overall. Like, the Masha Slamovich match, I was actually surprised that it got that much time. So it was good. But I enjoyed a Brock Lesnar match on Saturday. Anything's possible at this point. So
I also enjoyed that match at SummerSlam, and that was just a plunder match. It was just, and you know what? Tonight, the main event of Impact was very much a plunder match.
Yes.
Very similar. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all the stuff here from August 4th, 2022, Impact Wrestling. I open, as I always do, Cresta, with a very important question. Did you watch BTI?
All right. So this time I was like, you're not going to flame me. I'm going to watch BTI. And I think I was looking at last week's because I saw Zicky Dice and Johnny Swinger versus Trey Miguel. I was like, wait, that was at. So I gave up and I did my makeup. So I apologize. Go ahead, flame me, roast me on an open fire. So.
All right. I'm just gonna tell everyone right now. This chat thing is still being weird. I've got the YouTube chat here open.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. I don't see our chat at all moving. I see
frozen.
The other chat.
Don't know what's going on there. Don't know what to tell you. But we'll keep an eye on the chat. And again, if you're donating super chats, they'll still get read and they'll still get taken care of. So. Yeah, BTI opened with Savannah Evans and Alicia Edwards. That was the match of the night. Okay. I don't have much to say. Tasha Steelz on commentary was great. You had her basically clowning on Tom Hannafin the whole time, calling him different names, including Tom Bennigan's. So you gotta love that.
Not Bennigan's.
Of course, not Bennigan's. And Alicia is now wearing assless chaps as her ring gear. I don't know where that came from, but it's a thing.
I will say I've seen Tasha Steelz make the rounds on social media the past couple of days. She's funny. That's a funny girl.
Yeah, she's hilarious. Savannah Evans gets the win over Alicia Edwards with like an out of nowhere full Nelson slam, gets the pin, gets the win, and that's the good stuff. So I enjoyed it. The big news, though, that came out of BTI was what they later announced on the show on Impact, and that is that Jack Evans will actually be at Emergence on the card, and he will be challenging for the X Division Championship. He's going to face the winner of Speedball Mike Bailey versus Rocky Romero, which is going to happen next week on Impact Wrestling. I can only assume that Speedball's about to retain his championship, but in a world where anything can happen and New Japan and Impact are friendly again, Rocky Romero as a next division champion, it's entirely possible. Either way, Jack Evans gets next.
I don't think Speedball is dropping it to either one of those young gentlemen. I'm going to have a good match. I'm going to be sports entertainment. Thank you for coming. Thank you for playing.
I'll start with the ones that I can see. M.A. Sulco with the super chat saying offsite location, Swingers Buffet. How did you know? How you know?
It's the Sizzler.
And Ricardo with the super chat. All hail team Joe Starr. Love you both. What's up? What's up to you, Ricardo? It's good to see you. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope chat's doing well. Hope you're all surviving because we're definitely trying to keep up here. If you leave a thumbs up, we will continue to love it. So let's go. We get into the actual episode of Impact. We're a week away from Emergence, but we have another episode of Impact before the Emergence show itself. Looking forward to that as well. So we open with Deonna Purrazzo and Rosemary. Deonna's out all by herself because Chelsea Green is preparing for Deonna's bachelorette party. And then Taya and Jessica, with a backwards K in the spelling of her name, they accompany Rosemary to the ring. Jessica, by the way, gets super into Rosemary's entrance, and I loved every second of that. Tell me about the match. What did you enjoy? It was a pretty good showing from both women here, in my opinion. But how'd you feel? What'd you think?
You cannot tell me Jessica Havoc. Her gimmick right now is that overly enthusiastic wrestling fan. And I'm here for it. I love it. I'm Jessica with a K because I'm sick. It's bad, but when I say it's bad, it's good. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Think of the not Mortal Kombat, the Street Fighter live action movie. It's bad, good like that. I was thoroughly sports entertained. I just think that it's funny that the whole time she's like trying not to like get involved, and when she does get involved, it does pay off for Rosemary in the end. Rosemary's able to hit Deonna Purrazzo with a spear, but she ends up screwing Rosemary out of it. Also, can we talk about when Deonna Purrazzo was that one arm, that spot where she like did the arm breaking thing? I was like, this girl is making pretzels tonight out of Rosemary. It was gross. I loved it, and she played it up the whole match. I feel, and this is me, I got to put that. I wish I had some aluminum foil. My tin hat is back on. I would like it if Jessica turned on Rosemary and her entire Valkyrie became a team for the yucks. But that's just me because I love chaos. What did you think about the match, Joel?
See, I know we've discussed that before, the idea of, because originally we were like, Ty is going to be the odd woman
Mhm.
out here, but clearly that's not the case. And it's been Jessica and Taya are suddenly like besties, and it's hilarious and silly all the same, which I enjoy. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of Jessica other than I I think something's gonna happen. She's gonna like have that moment where she turns
Mhm.
and she's gonna become Havoc again, but we don't know what's gonna bring that on, right? We don't know what or who. I think I mentioned maybe you bring back Su Young to challenge for the Knockouts tag titles soon, her and somebody else, and
Yeah.
that can begin the turn for Havoc. Maybe Havoc aligns with Su Young, and
Mhm.
then she's a new undead bride, whatever it is. I don't know. But for right now, going into Deonna and Chelsea VXT Vexed against Rosemary and Taya, I'm looking forward to the match because the match that Rosemary and Deonna Purrazzo had was really quite good. They did a lot of
Mhm.
really good stuff. Really like that Rosemary continues to work. Get worked over the arm by Deonna, and Deonna goes for the arm bar. Rosemary's selling like crazy. There's some really good
Yes.
stuff there. They do the double pump kick spot, which normally looks a little silly, but they actually did a good job with that. And this whole thing kind of finishes weird in that Jessica gets upset when she gets on the apron and Deonna says that she's not invited to the bachelorette party. Rosemary hits a spear, gets the visual pin. It's cute. The ref's dealing with Jessica, who's having a conniption at ringside. And then Deonna rolls up Rosemary on the distraction for the pin. And that's it. Jessica apologizes after the match. We'll talk about the post-match
Mhm.
promo a little bit later. Rosemary's just incensed. So again, more to the Jessica story. It's Rosemary is the odd woman out instead of Taya, which is interesting to me.
I like it. I like being bamboozled when it comes to professional wrestling. And like you said, we were always thinking, okay, maybe Ty is going to be the odd one out, or maybe even Jessica's the odd one out. But having the odd one out being Rosemary is really quite funny, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I thought the match was good.
Yeah, it was just a solid match
Mhm.
between two really good stars. We do an Honor No More promo in the back. Edward Edwards calls out PCO again. PCO is just, he looks more confused than upset at this point, and it's very, very funny to watch PCO try to be the monster, but he's really just like,
I thought, I don't know if you ever seen that meme. It's a meme going around where it's like a fish eye lens is just someone's eye. When PCO was trying to be menacing, I was like, are you constipated? You have to go to the bathroom, a bit of a run. I'm tired of Edward Edwards blaming PCO, who's always coming through in the clutch. Always. Are you projecting, Eddie? Is it you? Is it you?
who would have thunk? Eddie Edwards is like, hey, you can prove your loyalty by defeating Gallows tonight. And PCO just looks deranged. He's not confused. He just looks completely like, huh? It's good stuff. They do a backstage with Gisele Shaw, and you and I talked for weeks about why they weren't going to run Gisele Shaw versus Masha Slamovich right away, and they do an okay job of explaining it, not to the extent that we wanted.
Mhm.
Giselle's like, I'm not avoiding Masha Slamovich. I want a better opportunity to scout her. And just makes up a whole bunch of excuses of why she's a professional and she wants to wrestle someone with enough time and, scout out the match. Sure. Okay. And then she takes the X'd out photo that she has, gives it to Gia, and Gia's like, Gisele, don't you want this back? And Gisele comes back and she says, no, my eyebrows are crooked.
It was also funny when she's making excuses like, I was trying to scout the competition. And Gia says, but she went up against Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rain, and those weren't really competitive either. Gisele just looks at her like, yo, shut up. Honestly, I expected nothing less, nothing more of that segment and the match. It was good. Honestly, Gisele Shaw, you played your part. 10 out of 10.
Again, I've brought this up so many times. Something happened to Gisele Shaw in that week between her having a really, really awkward conversation with Alicia Edwards in the back that just was very poorly acted on both ends, to her suddenly like gaining this comedic timing or just figuring out her comedic timing in front of the camera, because suddenly she's really entertaining. Like she can have a good match, and now she's putting together her character, which I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of her character yet, but I know that I'm entertained. And if she keeps it up, I'm gonna go ahead and say I've noticed an improvement in the ring with her. From the last 3 matches, from the first one to the second one to this one tonight, she's gotten really, she's good. Let me not say really good. She's gotten better. And it's like, if you keep this up, okay, Impact is the place that'll give you a championship run if you keep on keeping on.
There's a confidence there.
Yes.
That seems to be building for her. And I think a lot of it might come with her personal life and certain things that she had, she openly announced that she was trans. This was just before the Toronto Pride Parade. So everything kind of happened after that. Everything that you and I are talking about that's positive seems to be happening after that. So I think maybe with the weight off of her shoulders or just a newfound level of comfort and acceptance, maybe that's just her way of being like, I can do anything now. Like, I've been supported, I've been loved, and that's great, and she should be. And now she's just, like I said, putting stuff together, which I love. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, like I said, she's gotten really good. And like tonight, that knee, I felt that.
Yes.
I felt that.
We're going to talk about that match because actually that ended up being a much better match than it had any business being. A really good way to put together. But
agreed.
We had Black Taurus versus Brian Myers for the Digital Media Championship. They brought this up a few times. Cardona and Myers attacking Josh Alexander and Jacob Fatu at Ric Flair's last match. Cresta, did you watch Ric Flair's last match, by the way?
No.
I went on a 6-minute tirade about Ric Flair's last match on the post show with Kate Elizabeth. Go ahead and find that when you get a chance. When we talk about Ric Flair's last match, buddy, I had a lot to say. And none of it was good, by the way. So either way, they did make reference to Cardona and Myers getting involved in that world title match between Josh Alexander and Jacob Fatu. I ask of you, Cresta, because it's not they showed it twice. You think this is the beginning of the return of Matt Cardona to Impact Wrestling?
Hopefully, maybe. I did see that match. That match between Josh Alexander and Jonathan Fatu was really good because Jonathan Fatu ain't got no business moving that freaking fast. And Josh Alexander was keeping up with him blow for blow. He's no slouch. And I wish people would stop sleeping on him as a champion. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I feel like you can't have Brian Myers and Matt Cardona not running with each other. These guys are literally bestest of friendest. Like Heath and Rhino, like they're best friends in real life. These two are best friends in real life. And I like it. If I could derail for one moment here, because I have wrote this down in my notes, and I'd be doing my friends a disservice if I don't say this. I was watching this match on Discord with my friends because I like to watch and preach the gospel of professional wrestling. Why did my friend call Black Taurus Inosuke from Demon Slayer? And that's all they were yelling the entire time. And I don't know if you watch anime, but he's the guy with the pig head from that anime. And I could not pay attention to this whole match because anytime he flew off the top rope, they're like, fly Inosuke, pig man. So I gotta say, if Black Taurus, if you ever watch this ever somewhere, you have converted some people through the gift of anime and professional wrestling.
I love it. Black Taurus, by the way, had a hell of a showing in his match at Ric Flair's last match. He had that incredible 4-way with Bandito, Phoenix, and Laredo Kid, all of whom have Impact ties of their own. Some of them on the roster currently, some have former championship, championship wins under their belt in Impact. So Taurus did a great job, including saving Bandito's literal neck from collapse.
Yeah,
so, you saw that spot. Yeah.
I've seen the GIF. I had to go and watch the match. I've seen that spot over and over. And it was literally like, I tweeted this out too. I've only ever seen one other wrestler do that. And it was Impact, Brian Cage. Someone did a dive. And this person almost took their neck out on that metal railing. Brian Cage, so I got you. Hit them with them powerbomb.
Yep. He's the power guy. And this was a different match for him. The match at Ric Flair's last match was very much a lucha style match, very quick, very, move oriented. This one was very grounded. This was Brian Myers trying to take down a giant man, and not even that giant because Taurus was shorter than Myers. He's just thicker.
He's beefy. He's stocky. Absolutely. Yeah. Like if he chest slapped you feel it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some good stuff. Taurus does a 6-1 on Myers in the corner. They do a missile dropkick spot. There's some good stuff. Myers gets speared by Taurus and they do a 2.9. And then Taurus is going for his Powerball move. And then Myers pokes his eye through the mask, rolls up Taurus, and then grabs the ropes, gets the win. Pretty inoffensive match. Good stuff between the two. And then afterwards, Bhupinder Gujjar comes out, throws Myers back into the ring with Taurus and Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve and Taurus clap Brian Myers' ears, get him a little off kilter, and then Gujar does the Gargoyle Spear. So again, we're just continuing this Bhupinder Gujar and Brian Myers eventual digital media championship match. Again, just once Gujar gets that blue check mark, that's when he gets the match. That's all I want.
But, they were putting over on commentary, what is the criteria? Because Taurus don't got a blue check mark.
Oh, he doesn't, does he? But this was different. This was different because Brian Myers was in the back and yelling out, "Who wants digital media championship match?" And Black Taurus accepted.
But Gujar been saying he stop making excuses for him.
Myers is just trying to get him the opportunity he deserves, but Gujar is he's late to the show. That's all. Gujar can't be late like that. He's got to show professionalism.
You know what? You're right.
Anyway, we got through that match. So Jordynne Grace is backstage with Gia Miller, and Jordynne Grace says, whoever stands across the ring with her, there's going to be friction. Puts over Mia Yim, does Jordynne Grace, and says the title means everything to her, and then says Mia Yim is an obstacle. That plays into later. We'll get to that with Mia Yim when she's interviewed by Gia Miller. First, let's give roses to Gisele Shaw and Masha Slamovich. First of all, poor Gisele Shaw. She's all alone again. Madison Rayne on her way out. Tennille Dashwood on her way out, at least for now. Masha's 13-0 since her debut in Impact Wrestling in January. Commentary had to point that out. And they ended up having a really good match. And it was unexpected because I think you and I sat here saying this is just going to be Masha plowing through Gisele Shaw. And that wasn't the case. Tell me, what did you like about the match? What did it for you? Talk to me.
I was surprised that I feel like, in my opinion, my humble little bum ass opinion, that this was the longest Masha Slamovich match, even longer than the one she had with Havoc, which blew my mind. I was expecting her to take this woman, break her in half, throw her out the ring, but that's not what happened. Gisele Shaw got a good Cesaro uppercut in there, if you ask me, a good big boot, a running knee. It was popping out of what was it, the snowplow? She popped out of that, and I was like, surprising. And for the slightest briefest of moments, like, is Gisele Shaw going to? And then Masha beat her up. So I was like, no, she's not. But for that moment, the fact that I thought, and this being the most competitive match, honestly, I am surprised. And I hope that this has maybe Masha's earned her respect. Maybe it'll be an odd couple. I would like to see an odd couple, but then I don't know. Masha Slamovich clearly is going on a crash course towards Killer Kelly, which, yes, please, thank you very much. But I don't know. But it was a good match. The match was for what it was. The expectations were on the floor, and it was at the ceiling by the time I was done watching, and I was very pleased for both of these women.
I see a lot of the chat talking about. I completely lost my train of thought for a second because I tried to open another site and it just mirrored the sound back at me. Wow. I see a lot of the chat talking about Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace. And you and I have talked about this before. As good of an idea as it sounds, we lose one important thing. And that is the Masha Slamovich, like, a beat 'em up experience. And the fact that she hasn't had competition like this yet until Gisele Shaw. So now she's building, and I'm still waiting. I really do think that when her and Killer Kelly inevitably lock up, I think that's the tag team that comes out of that.
It could be. But even to that point, it's like, how do you build her up to Jordynne Grace? Because whoever loses, I think Jordynne will be fine, but it's something where I wouldn't want to do it right now when Jordynne just won the belt. And sometimes it feels like Impact does have a lot of pay-per-views or premium live events or whatever it is. But I don't think right now is the best time, because I think if Masha goes to meet with Jordynne, she should beat Jordynne. And I don't think Jordynne should drop the title just as yet. So maybe Savannah Evans gets some more stuff under her belt. Maybe if Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary lose to Vex, Taya Valkyrie loses to Masha. So people are like, oh, she's not playing. And then maybe a Killer Kelly, and then maybe a Grace. Maybe.
I like that. I really like that. We got a super chat from Ricardo the Wizard. Hot take, I hate the Gargoyle Spear. I don't hate it. I think that Bhupinder's Gargoyle Spear is just like, It's perfect for him. He's got the long hair. He's a tall guy. He just perches up on the second rope and just launches into somebody. I think it works. What do you think, Cresta?
With the long hair, when he says gargoyle spear, I think of the cartoon Gargoyles.
Yes.
And that's what I'm going with. The long hair. To me, it makes sense. It's a spear. There's only so many ways you can name a spear. Come on.
It's true. It was just, it's a good move. I like it. So the Gisele Shaw match, let's very quickly just running it down. The forearms from Masha to Gisele are just so impactful to start the match. Masha Slamovich is a spinning back fist to Gisele, and Gisele sells it like death, which I love. Oh. And then Shaw gets some offensive, which is amazing. Gets some speed and outspeeds Masha, and then hits the running knee, which I was shocked, and so was Gisele Shaw. Both women sell it well. You've got, Masha goes down, and Gisele Shaw's is like, oh my God, what did I just do? But at the same time, I think she knew she was screwed. Gisele kicking out of a German suplex bridge pin, that was shocking because no one's kicked out of anything unless it's been Masha lifting their head up to do something else. And that was pretty good. And then they do a forearm spot. Giselle's out cold, hits the snowplow, 1, 2, 3. That's the ball game. Good stuff.
Good job.
Thank you. M.A. Solko with a super chat saying we need an eventual Monsters Ball match with Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly versus Rosemary and Su Yung. Oh my goodness. I am a fan.
I like that, but I'm going to do you one better.
Go.
You put Havoc and Su Yung, and through the whole match they go through Havoc, Su Yung, Jessica, Jessie, Susan. I would watch that. Have you be Susie and Jessie and Jessica and Susan. That whole match. I'd watch it. 10 out of 10. And Impact would do it.
Impact would do it if they were still doing pandemic shows. No crowds, no nothing. Because they could do that. They could do the silliest, most ridiculous shit when they had all of that. Again, like pandemic wrestling was the best and worst thing to happen because the no crowds thing really bugged a lot of people, unless you're Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson for whatever reason, who was like, I enjoyed it. Oh, okay. But anyway, you had things going on in Impact, some good, some bad, but it really tested the limits of like what professional wrestling can be when you can edit things together. I remember them doing a spot where they did a Su Yung becomes Susan or one becomes the other, and they just cut it together and it looked perfect because it was just dramatic television, and stuff like that worked when you're just cutting and editing everything together.
I think that also, to WWE's detriment, I think it is possible to pipe in sound, but you need a chaotic millennial or a chaotic Gen Z on a soundboard, or else it's going to sound really fake. Can you imagine if someone was actually piping in the "you suck" when it was time to chant "you suck," or the boos when it was the right time, or the boos when Vince McMahon wants you to cheer, but you boo it anyway, so you just press it.
Yep.
That's the only, to me, that's funny. That's chaos. That's my favorite edited YouTube videos are like that. So,
well, we like it when you leave a thumbs up here at youtube.com/Fightful. Let's go. Mia Yim is with Gia Miller. They show before the interview a match from 2016 when Mia, who was then Jade, won the Knockouts Championship, defeating Madison Rayne. I like this because they do the interview with Mia Yim, puts over Jordan Grace and the match coming up at Emergence. But then Madison Rayne shows up and she's like, I object to you showing that match and that footage. I just had my nose done. This is an affront to me. And Mia's just like, sorry, didn't mean to. And then Gail Kim walks in and opens the forbidden door, Cresta, because it's going to be AEW's Madison Rayne taking on Mia Yim from Impact next week.
Gail Kim, the door she's opened.
Right?
Step aside, Mr. Khan. Gail Kim's coming through.
Gail Kim is the true forbidden door. I don't care what y'all say. She is the one.
Honestly, we laugh now, but in 10 months' time, she's the one who's going to be like, hey, Steph, let's talk.
and what's hilarious here is that Gail Kim, when she left WWE the second time, she was like, I hate it here. Like, I'm sick of this. Gail Kim is synonymous with Impact because when she joined Impact, she's like, I want women's wrestling, especially in the US, to be on the map. And that's what the Knockouts division became in TNA at the time. So for her to maybe start working something with WWE at some point, and I'm not saying this is happening or it's going to happen, but I'm replying to what you're saying with the idea of Gail Kim and maybe Stephanie McMahon talking. I like that there's an opportunity there because women's wrestling has changed in WWE's world. And maybe Gail
Absolutely.
Kim has some influence down the line to work with them. It's a new world. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will say, because I saw someone say, no, don't put that on Gail Kim. I will say this. The world has changed, and a lot of never say never in professional wrestling. One moment people hate each other, next week they're shaking hands, doing business with one another. If it makes business sense, Stephanie's always said, I'm best for business. And honestly, Impact Wrestling, the women's, the knockouts division is superb. And in my opinion, it's the best presentation of women's wrestling in a major American market. I don't care, bar none, argue with your mama about it. It'd be really nice to see someone like a Jordan Grace really put on a competitive match with some of our faves. Like, can you imagine Charlotte actually having to work for a win?
I mean, that's a whole other conversation. I think people are harder on Charlotte than they need to be.
I agree with that to an extent, but much like with the Brock Lesnar thing, I can tell the difference when you care and when you don't.
Yeah, that's true. I've told the story on another podcast, but what really turns my brain around when people talk about, say, Charlotte, and they're like, oh, they just give her a title whenever she wants it. I think back to there was a segment on Raw. This was in like 2001, and it's between Booker T and RVD. And Booker T's in the back with RVD, and he's like, I'm the five-time WCW champion, sucker. And then RVD just looks at him square in the face and says, wow, you lost that championship 5 times? And that's just how I see world champions now in any wrestling promotion. Anyway, and people who are just like the realism, blah blah blah. You know what? We've seen a lot of really weird shit happen in wrestling, so you don't know. You can shut it down in your brain all you want, but you never know until it happens. Someone
There's
also
a wrestling dinosaur, bro.
Someone talking about Rocky Romero is the door. There can be multiple doors, and if Rocky can be the conduit through which the men walk through, and maybe Gail Kim is going to bring the women down. So who knows? And by down, I mean up through the door. So there we go.
Wrestling is a house. We're all the keys.
No, Wrestle House is usually around Thanksgiving, by the way. So I don't know what you're talking about. Rosemary is with Taya, Valkyrie, and Jessica in the back. She's upset. She's dejected. Taya's like, hey, Jessica's a baby. She's relearning everything. And I'm like, what really? Rosemary is like, same reaction as I had. And says basically Jessica is not ready for battle. And Jessica's like, no, it wasn't Taya's fault. It was my fault. And she guarantees that they're going to retain the Knockouts tag titles at Emergence. And then Jessica yells the show is emergency and that the other team's going to need a ambulance. And everyone stands there awkwardly.
In this moment, I feel bad for Rose. I personally identified with Rosemary in that moment. You think you like, we've got this? Okay, we're on the same page? Yes. I can't wait to win. We're going to win chicken dinner. Bok, bok, bok. And it's just like, oh my God, we're screwed.
My favorites. Deonna and Doering take on Motor City Machine Guns. There's no Eric Young out with Deonna and Doering again later. And it's interesting to see Doering and Deonna wearing mismatched gear, but I just think that may have been because 2 nights of taping, so maybe they just didn't plan for that or know it was going to happen. Really good back and forth tag team match. I mean, Motor City Machine Guns are a long-standing team, had a great match at Ric Flair's last match against the Wolves. Deservedly, Motor City wins in that match, and of course, again tonight. We'll get to that finish in a minute. Deonna and Doering are a well-established tag team. They've held the tag titles in Impact, so it was a good match from both. I don't really have a lot to say about this match because really everything that's important happened in the finish and the post-match. So talking about the match, Cresta, is there anything you want to talk about? Any spots you want to bring out? What you got?
I will say that this match, I felt like VBD was really working over Alex Shelley. I don't know if that was intentional because he's got an opportunity coming up, but Chris Sabin getting the win rather than Shelley, I thought was a little bit curious to try to not give him momentum. I don't know, but maybe it was to prove a point because they did say on commentary, Sabin was a former world champ. This is Shelley's first time coming for the championship. This is his first opportunity. So I was like, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I did think that was curious. Joe Dore was really beating the hell out of Shelley tonight.
Yes, they went hard on that one. Yeah, there was some good stuff. I mean, they do the spot Motor City Machine Guns do where Sabin does heads up, does a missile drop kick from the top, and then Shelley does like a flatliner on Cody Deaner. there's some good stuff. And then Diener later on works on Shelley's neck, and then Doering helps out, like you're talking about. There's just a lot of good double team from both sides.
Yeah.
But the finish, this was what I thought was really neat. Shelley does a crucifix pin, but he realizes he's not the legal man. So Chris Sabin jumps in, and he does a jackknife pin on Diener and gets the pin. And that's the match. Sabin has the wherewithal to show up and get the pin for his team as the legal guy when Shelley had started the process. So I really like that. I think it was just good tag team awareness and just solid, like, baby faces adhering to the rules. I thought that was pretty neat.
I liked it. I did like it a lot. But I say this every time VBD lose. What y'all gonna do with Eric Young show? Because he did show up tonight. And I think that pal driver was I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at you. So
post-match, here we go. Doering attacks Motor City Machine Guns. Out comes Kushida. Now, Kushida's fighting both guys, tries to get the hoverboard lock on Doering. Eric Young runs out, hits the pile driver on Kushida, just takes him out. That's that. And now I'm thinking 6-man, probably Bound for Glory. Talk about Bound for Glory in a few minutes. But first, they're going to do a tag team match at Emergence in the back. They announced that it's going to be Kushida and Sabin versus Violent by Design. They didn't tell you who, unless I completely missed it. I'm assuming it's Diener and Doering.
I assume so, too, because Eric Young, because when they do the backstage, Alexander's like, you have a match with me, so I need you to pay attention. And I think that they were like, it doesn't matter who's part of Violent by Design, whoever shows up, but it's going to be Sabin and Kushida, so what's good?
Yeah, so easy as that. We just don't know who's going to represent Violent by Design at the match. And I like that Alexander's being a little bit cocky, and he's kind of shooting back at Shelley, who did the same thing to him the week before. It's not a heel turn. It's just Alexander is getting his gravitas. He's getting his balls, right? He's really cocky. He's not arrogant. He's becoming a champion. And
you don't always have to be a humble champion. Not at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then for some reason, Edward Edwards is hanging out in the hallway. And he starts talking a bunch of shit and just says, Alexander, you're at the top of the mountaintop and you can't see what's on the other side, but I can, and I know what's coming. Da, da, da. And basically Josh Alexander, just like, what are you talking about? And Edward Edwards is like, I don't know. He just talks a lot for a guy who wants a shot at the Impact title. Just say you want a shot at the Impact World Championship.
Yeah, because I was like, are you trying to get him to join Honor no more because he has no... Why would he do that? Are you trying to offer to watch his back? Why would he need you to watch his back? And if you're going to ask for a match, I think you could just be like, hey, I want a title shot. So he could either laugh in your face or beat you up. So
we find out Bound for Glory has been announced for October 7th. It's not in Danbury, Connecticut, as originally reported by Fightful Select. It is going to be in Albany, New York, venue to be addressed soon enough. For those who are asking in the chat, what happened? Sean's going to figure out what happened, what changed. This isn't a Sean got it wrong story. This is very much a Impact decided that maybe Danbury, Connecticut is not the hotbed of professional wrestling that other places might be. Also, if you really think about it, you can go to Albany on October 7th, and then the next night you can make the drive over to Philly for WWE Extreme Rules. Make yourself a wrestling weekend.
That's a lot of driving. But they're not too far. Tri-state.
Yeah, it's all tri-state. Wait, how far is the drive?
Oh, I'm from New York City. I do not drive.
Yes, just take a stab in the dark. Is it a 5-hour drive?
From New York to Connecticut or New York to Philly?
Albany to Philly.
Albany to Philly. So 3 hours from New York City is Albany. And Connecticut is like literally a hop skip. So that's like, so maybe what, 4 hours?
Hold on, we're going to find this out now. Look it up. Philly, PA. We're driving. It is a 3 3/4 hour drive up on 97.
I was close.
Point is, you can make the drive. It's a nice afternoon. Go for it. Bound for Glory is going to be in Albany, New York. So if you're there and you want to go, tickets are going to be on sale soon. Raj Singh versus Sami Callihan happened. Who cares? Sorry, didn't really care.
I went to the bathroom. I came back and it was over.
Sami now does a cross-face chicken wing as a submission. Good for him. That's all I got. Raj Singh getting the early advantage. That was nice. I like seeing Raj Singh at least get some sort of offense in. And then Sami just beat the shit out of him, and that was it. Sami cuts a post-match promo, calls out Moose and Macklin. They do a really cool spot where they're playing Moose's music. Macklin is out on the stage doing Moose's entrance or pretending to. Moose goes for the sneak attack in the ring. Sami sidesteps it. Callihan fights off moves with Macklin. Macklin hits Sami in the dick.
The yam bags. That's my favorite thing. Come on, Taz. The yam bags.
Nope. And then Moose spears him. Spears Sami Callihan, I should say, pronouns pal. And then gets the KIA, the KIA, the Kia Sedona, which is a double arm DDT. The KIA.
The Kia Sorrento.
The Kia Sorrento. The Kia Danbury, Connecticut. So Sami gets the Kia from Macklin, and that's that segment. I don't know. I'm interested in what they're doing with Moose and Macklin. I don't really care much for Sami Callihan. I have to be perfectly honest. How are you feeling about this triad going on right now?
Sami Callihan, I don't have a problem with him per se. I get where he's the draw, whatever it is. I don't particularly care for his matches because I am weak, I am squeamish, and 90% of his matches, somebody weakened, probably him, and that's gross.
Works for me. Killer Kelly does, they do a recap of her debut. She's like, regret is mostly done by not having done anything, and she has no regrets. So there you go. Next week, Killer Kelly makes her official debut in Impact Wrestling. Carl Anderson versus Kenny King. Diener takes on Kushida. Madison Rayne versus Mia Yim in a big interpromotional matchup that we didn't know existed till then. Mike Bailey takes on Rocky Romero. That's an actual interdivision or promotional match. That's for the X Division Championship. The winner faces Jack Evans at Emergence for the X Division Championship. And they're doing a contract signing between Alex Shelley and one Joshua Alexander. Now we got to talk about this main event. Cresta. I loved the entire main event, including the pre-match promo, until the dog shite finish. We know that Doc Gallows isn't exactly one for taking huge bumps. He's not the type of guy who's going to go all out at the end of his matches, or at least the big finishes. He's usually the guy doing the stuff, and he did all the stuff. But that finish just completely took the wind out of the sails for this entire matchup. And it was just, if they had done anything else, it would have been better. This just wasn't, this finish really ruined a good match for me.
I feel like there's two problems with the finish. One, them breaking up this ring, taking it apart. That spot is kind of getting overused in Impact. They've used it a whole lot. I think the spot could have been fine if Luke Gallows just would have finished with PCO being put through it, and that was it. That was cool. I was like, oh shit, yeah. But then to reuse the spot with it was too much. It was too much. There is a saying that drag queens say that come from Donatella Versace, which says, when you're about to leave, look in the mirror, take one thing off. If you are about to finish a match and you're doing too much, maybe remove a spot. The rocks in the gloves with the thumbtacks. I was like, oh, come on. Too much. There could have been a more innovative way for you to win. The match itself, like you said, was good. It was, to me, it was like two uncles who had fucking had it with each other, drinking, and they fighting with each other. I was here for it. I liked it. But at the end, it was like, oh, here we go with the tearing up the ring again. Isn't that expensive? Okay, PCO went through. Okay, the hand comes out. That's cool. Okay, so PCO's going to win. How is he? The same spot, girl. That was literally my range of emotions.
There was some good stuff. So like early in the match, first of all, I got to put over the backstage promo because I don't always love Good Brother promos and I don't always love Bullet Club promos. This one was really good because there was some honesty. There was like, I'm going to win this match instead of the jokey Bullet Club dick jokes and just the silliness. Bay and Austin were the standouts in the promo, but at the end, Gallows really put a good cap on it, and I enjoyed the backstage promo that led into the match. Gallows towering over PCO, by the way, just wrecks my brain every time.
Yeah, because they're really tall.
Yes, like Gallows is just so much taller than PCO, and it messes with my brain. They immediately do the slam PCO's head on the ramp. They do a lot of head chair spots. I didn't love that. A lot of chairs being used. Like every time PCO would set something up, he would end up going through it, which is like pro wrestling 101. That's the way it works. PCO choke slams Gallows through a table. Sure. They use a drum kit at ringside. Sure. It's cute. And then they shout out the Louisville marching band, which was hilarious. The LSU band. And then PCO, like you said, starts cutting the canvas loose. And this has become like the Impact staple. Whenever it's the last night of tapings or something, like this is now what they're going to do. They're just going to take apart the ring and have an easy night for the ring crew afterwards. Gallows finds a giant chain at one point, and then he eventually hits the gas mask on this exposed wooden boards. I like it because the gas mask looks like the lowdown, which was cool. I like that. And then they did the second rope choke slam, and PCO goes through the ring. They do the It's Alive spot, the Frankenstein kick out from him through the ring, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then they fight over the hole. That's what she said. PCO hits a reverse CDT onto the exposed beams, and then they take out the friggin' thumbtacks. And the thumbtacks, like, normally the thumbtacks are okay. I get it. But why does PCO load them up in his glove? And, like, what does it mean? Because it comes off a top rope, and, like, just Gallows just takes a tumble into the hole. Like, he punches Gallows, but the thumbtacks are, like, in his fist. So what's PCO's, like, reason for using these thumbtacks that are clearly not going to do anything to Gallows? They're going to do anything to PCO. And then PCO just does the thing from the top. Gallows takes a tumble. PCO stands on him for 3, and that's the end of the show. And by the way, Dust 10, thank you for the super chat, says Gallows is huge. He a big boy.
I will say this. To answer your question, I'm going to answer you with another question. How come Gallows could throw PCO on a chair coffin, but PCO could grab the ropes and cause a break? There was a lot of things that didn't make a lot of sense.
That's
in this match.
true. At the beginning of the match, they broke the count for some reason.
There's a lot of things that didn't make sense in this match. I thought that PCO was putting rocks in his glove and then fisted the that's what she said too. Fisted the thumbtacks. But now that you say, like, no, he put thumbtacks in the glove. Handed. You know what? We're exposing the business. We're thinking too hard about it. Professional wrestling is great. I love it. Oh my God.
I just love that the thumbtacks, they're not in the traditional black velvet sack that they would normally be in. He had them in a Ziploc bag.
A plastic bag for
plastic.
lunch.
He had his lunch in that bag, and later on was like, this is a good idea. That was his lunch. PCO used his damn lunch on Gallows to get the win in that match. That's how we're going to remember it.
Period. That's how I'm going to choose to remember it. Because if I remember it in actuality,
the show itself was fine. I think you and I agree that it wasn't the strongest episode ever of Impact. It was very, I don't like using the term maintenance show, but it's thrown around enough that I think people understand when I say it. It was there. I think next week's show going into Emergence is going to be bigger because they have to have a big Thursday show to make you want to watch the Friday show. And this is the thing. They're doing Bound for Glory on a Friday night, which is it's going to be a pay-per-view show, not an Impact Insiders show. It's going to be a go and order it on Fight pay-per-view $40 show. Doing that on a Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, when you're typically going up against SmackDown, and SmackDown's getting hotter, and it's going to be the go home before Extreme Rules on the Saturday. That's a tough sell, man. I don't know how I feel about it. How do you feel about them running a pay-per-view on a Friday? The Impact Insider shows on a Friday night, that's fine. You can go back and watch that anytime. But like, this is their big pay-per-view show. And this is on Friday night. I
don't hate it. But I will say a lot of that would have been predicated on, well, Triple H isn't running the show. And like I said, this week alone, from SummerSlam till now, wrestling has gotten exponentially good. I even feel like Dynamite was made a little bit better because Triple H ain't messing around. So I think that, and this is just me off the top of the dome out of my brain, I think it's possible, unless it's already been recorded, it's possible for Impact to switch it up, change it up, and make it competitive where it's going to be like, damn, I really got to choose. But that's tough. There's not enough days in the week to watch wrestling. And there's not enough days in the week to build up a pay-per-view, especially now that every major promotion is good.
By the way, for those of you who want to know why Impact Wrestling changed cities for Bound for Glory, that story is up right now, literally as we speak, on Fightful Select. It was just posted. Sean Ross Sapp doing the thing, So you can go ahead, subscribe to Fightful Select for $5. You'll find out all the news, why it's no longer Danbury, Connecticut, and instead it's Albany, New York. It does have something to do with what we talked about, Cresta, with that.
Oh.
How long's the drive between Albany and Philly? So there's a little bit of that there. There's also a little bit about MJF. People have been asking for an update on MJF, so you got that there. Mance Warner, he's been showing up on AEW. He's got a match on Rampage this Friday against Jon Moxley. So we got an update on Mance Warner and some new faces that are going to show up in the Ring of Honor AEW side of things. Plenty to do on Fightful Select. You've got Sour Graps, you've got the Q&A show, you've got all the stuff, you got the list goes on. And when Jimmy doesn't come to work, you got Sean just talking about his experiences in other cities with other people and all the stuff that comes with it. Cresta, I think we're good. Do you have anything to add on the Impact front?
Impact Wrestling is good. Stop sleeping on it. Josh Alexander's a good champion. So watch Impact Wrestling. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye.
Plug your stuff. Tell them where they can find you on the internet.
Guys, I've made it easier for you. Everything now. There's no more Cresta Starr reacts. Everything is just Cresta Starr except for the Twitter that you see here. I can speak English, I promise. Except for the Twitter that you see here is Cresta the Starr. And if that is even still too hard for you, you can go right on to my bio, my link tree, and you can find all the links, even the playlist for these very episodes that you're watching right now here. That is going to be on Twitter/Cresta the Starr. Joel, where can they find ye?
Oh, I'm all over the place. I am at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. If I'm not here on the main channel, then I'm over at Fightful Overbooked, youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked, or twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming, where we're trying to do a little bit more of the gaming part of Fightful Gaming. We're going to see a little bit more of that, hopefully, in the near future. Until then, ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy the rest of your week. By the way, I got to point this out because I'd be remiss if I didn't. Madison Rayne about to have the week of her life because next week she's going to probably face Jade Cargill for that TBS championship. And then Thursday she'll have the match against Mia Yim. And then Friday, basically, I'm just saying it's going to be a good week for professional wrestling and for Madison Rayne. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you next time.